We are so happy that you've joined us either on May 17th of 2020 or any time that you're watching this on YouTube. This is a unique event and we're happy that we've been able to pull it off. It's my job to give you a little bit of an idea so you can be thinking of how to use these sets of videos. The schedule begins officially at 1. The welcome videos is available 1 o'clock on May 17th. Anita talks, and then 2 o'clock it's time for you. You won't find this in other conferences that you go to. It's nap or rest or prayer time. And then at 3 Anita speaks again, and at 4:30 a lot becomes available to you, and here's where in a few minutes I'll tell you a little bit about each one of them. But it's a farm tour, a barn tour, an art tour, or Sabbath soul tending with children, or cooking with Lonnie, and yoga. I'll say a little bit more about each one of those in a minute. But Anita has given her life in some ways for this moment. She was in the church and she was tending souls, and she realized that something was wrong or something was missing. And a lot of people in our world have realized that something is wrong and something is missing. But she changed her entire life. She was an Ohio girl, grew up in Ohio on a farm. She became a Mennonite minister. But after that soul tending of other people, realized that she needed to pay more attention to her own soul, and she has some fantastic experiences, which I'm so looking forward to her telling in her own voice. I've read them in her book, Soul Tending. So we get to hear that in this retreat. And it's for this time because we are all looking in different ways of how to tend our lives and how our lives are restructured and upset by the pandemic. The place is uniquely situated to our time as well, because this place is a decade in the making. Bellwether has been coming for a long time, so I'm enormously grateful for people who have given to Bellwether, because it makes this kind of vision of our future possible for our kids and for those who come ahead. And if you haven't given, I encourage you to give, because this doesn't, we could not have pulled this off if people weren't already here. If Farmer Kyle wasn't already here, if Lonnie wasn't already here cooking, and if this vision wasn't already gelled in this place. So I encourage you to give generously. Bellwether Farm is the website. You can also find the schedule on the Bellwether Farm website. So a little more about the people. So Kyle and Linnea will give you a tour of the garden on a chilly morning in May in the greenhouse, and then a tour of the barn. And when they uncover the plants in the greenhouse, I couldn't help but think that that's the way God uncovers us. Some things that we felt were laying over top of us were actually protecting us. It's a beautiful sight. And Kyle will share with you a little bit about the growing and the raising of the animals, and you get to see the chickens come out of the coop and the animals in the barn. So those are those videos. Yoga with Peg Baker. She has become a phenomenon in Grace Church in Mansfield. She's almost 90 years old, and we have a food ministry. She's helping a lot of our volunteers recover their bodies after that ministry and pay attention to our bodies in ways that we as Christians have not all the time, and stretch. Jess Miller will take you on a walk through the forest, and I was struck by how that she does a lot of teaching. You'll see bluebells, Virginia bluebells, and trillium, and she'll dig down so you can see a bloodroot plant. And she ends with the Windowberry poem, and it's a beautiful walk through the woods. Cooking with Chef Lonnie. I think a lot of people are cooking more nowadays, so if you want some inspiration from Chef Lonnie, he cooks a curry that is absolutely fantastic. I'm sorry you can't tasted with Kathleen and I. So down by the river, down by the Vermilion River, if you feel like some kind of creative time would be good for you, our artist Patience Lewis creates a scene in Andy Goldsworthy fashion where she has collected items from around that set of tree roots by the river. It's a peaceful scene, and she does very little talking, as Andy Goldsworthy does not, and creates this beautiful image. So that's also available. And last but not least, if you feel like this is a time for you to recover some of your childhood, or if you are a child, then join Anna Sutteresh for Soul Tending for Youth. She has some fantastic energy for that work. Unless we turn and become like a child, we just don't enter the kingdom. So if you feel like you could use that, tune into that. But we can all see all of them, which is the good thing, because these will be available to the end. Lastly, I want to say something that has driven me for a lot of years. Parker Palmer, who some of you know, is an educator, and he was a Quaker, and he speaks about the soul. And he too, like Anita Amstutz, realized that something was wrong. And his life changed very dramatically, and he became more than just a higher education educator. He really delved pretty deeply as a person for our time now. And Parker Palmer writes about the soul that it's like a wild animal. Wild animals don't come out unless we give them room and space and time, and we cultivate. So I encourage you to use this as best as you are able, what we are offering here today in this retreat of soul tending, but to give yourself room in as many other ways as you need. Your soul doesn't come out unless you make room for it to come out. Your soul doesn't thrive unless you give it a chance to thrive. So I encourage you, and we're so happy you've joined us for soul tending. Thank you.